Welcome. You have come to the right place for marketing. This is Revolutionize Your Marketing. I'm Kurt Roskoff, and I'm here to bring in the creator and the host of the show, John Petros Sr. We're here sponsored by Mill City Marketing MA. And so we've got a couple guests here today, and we're going to hear all about them first. We're going to get into their wheelhouse quite a bit so you know exactly who both of our guests are. And then John's going to kind of help that exploration, and then we'll bring me back in, and I'll be that person to ask for the marketing magnitude. Let's really live up to the show and revolutionize your marketing. Thanks for tuning in, and here's Johnny, John Petro Sr. Take it away.
Thanks, Kurt. It's a little different having you introduce the show than Sue. You put a little bit more pizzazz into it. Welcome, folks, to Revolutionize Your Marketing. And like Kurt said, I have two great guests with me tonight. Um, I've got Nathan Jones and Steve Levinson. Let's bring Steve Levinson in. How are we doing,
Hey,
Steve?
John. Very good. Hey, gentlemen. Thank you for having me.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for being here.
for
Yeah.
coming.
Thank you.
And let's let people know where you're from and how you got to what you're doing today.
Sure, sounds good. You might hear the New York accent. I'm a Long Islander, moved to Florida about 30 years ago. I lived in South Florida a long time. I'm now in North, but I celebrate 40 years in marketing this year. Just entered my 40th year. So of course I went from
Congratulations.
print to digital because digital didn't exist right before. Anyway, I've been in the marketing field for 40 years, love it. And that's how I help people, wired into my DNA to help small businesses with their marketing, their strategy, and so on. Yes, thank you.
It's been a long time in marketing. How have
Well,
things changed over the years?
it's a good question immensely. So if you think about 1986, when I started, so I sold advertising in supermarkets. If you remember, shopping carts with ads in them and register tape receipts with coupons on the back. That was all over the country in major supermarkets. So humble beginnings. So imagine there was no internet, there was no smartphone, there was really nothing online. It was all print, right? So it was very hyper local, right? You had the yellow pages, you had the local. So imagine the change from being able to, for instance, I'm a small marketing company. I can have clients anywhere now, as opposed to just in my hyper local market, right? So
Yeah,
the world has changed so much. By the way,
yeah.
I have a storm brewing up overhead. So if you happen to hear some thunder, we could use the rain, but you might hear some boomers.
I'd be happy to send some snow down.
There you go. Well, it was almost 90 today in North Florida. And
And we,
if you think about it, it's March 6th. It's not even spring yet,
yeah,
right? So we're having some wild weather.
when we talk about wild weather, we've had 30-degree temperatures during the daytime the last couple of days.
Yes,
Monday and Tuesday, it's supposed to be up in the 60s.
yes.
So
So
I'll
a
be
few weeks
happy to
back,
see a
we had
lot of
some,
snow going.
yeah, all of us had that real wild weather the last few weeks. So just the last
Yeah.
thought about that, we got down to about 20 in North Florida for weeks, literally for weeks. So this is unheard of. So I'm really thankful where I run my business off site. I'm not in a brick and mortar. Most marketing people, whether it's web, SEO, AI, there's really not a big reason to show up at the office.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but there's so much to do right where you're sitting,
Yeah.
so
It's true.
I'm thankful for that. I used to be a road warrior. So when you ask, hey, what's changed? I used to meet people in person. So I would get in my chariot, drive over, and I did that for like 20 years, right? So I would drive to a company's the video store in the old days, dry clean, a beauty salon, car wash, and meet
Yeah,
them in person and talk about marketing, right? So those days are kind of gone. We're doing Zoom, right? We're
yeah.
meeting people
Um,
on Google Meet.
the internet's done a big change as far as that goes. A lot
Yes.
more accessibility to people basically around the world. Um,
The other thing too is you're able to connect to your ideal client much easier. In the old days with print, you'd
yeah,
pull a list, you'd try to mail to that guy who likes certain things. But with the internet, you can see, or Google can see, where did they go? What did they like? What are their propensities? And you could target that person. So with AI and SEO and all that, you can get very granular and really reach your target audience. Couldn't do that before. And one more, speaking to that, you can do it for cheap. In the old days, when you wanted to advertise and market yourself, you would send a mailer. You had to have that mailer made and printed. That was a
yeah,
whole. And then you had to pay for postage. Those two things just price you right out of the marketplace. But in this marketplace now and in the current times, you could launch a business basically like I did with no budget because you can do a whole lot of
yeah,
advertising for nothing. I'm the king of that. Places to advertise for free. And then if you have a budget, if you add that to the free stuff, you know, anyway, my point is nowadays, how has marketing changed? We can use the internet for free to promote our business and for basically almost nothing from scratch, launch a company. And I did it. I used Alignable to do that. So I'm living proof that that can be done. I did it for
yeah,
myself. So anyway, didn't mean
yeah.
to dominate the conversation. This is what
That's
happens when you invite a New Yorker. He's going to take over.
that's
Anyway,
right.
go ahead.
So how much of your business is on the Alignable platform, which is in case people aren't aware of it, it's a business to business marketing well, I should say marketing, networking platform.
Yes.
How much of your business comes from that platform?
So the bulk of it comes from there by design. So when I first met Alignable 4 years ago this month, by the way, so I'm on Alignable 4 years. Right away, when I saw Alignable, because of I'm 40 years in sales, aside from 40 years of marketing.
Hmm,
So when I saw Alignable platform, I knew right away that I could connect with people, I could chat with them, they could tell me their problems, I could tell them how I could fix that problem. I would invoice them, and we were, from day one, I was bringing on clients. Not everybody knows how to do that. That's a special skill to be able to meet somebody, size up, scope out the work and be able to fix it and actually be able to talk to that person and connect the whole dots. Right. So love Alignable. So my stats, just real quick, I'm connected to over 5,400 companies, bookkeeper, dry cleaner, beauty salon. They've written us almost 800 reviews.
hmm,
And I've leveraged Alignable to get 39 five-star Google reviews, by the way. So you need to, when you're on a platform doing gangbusters, doing great, you need to leverage that platform to grow your others. Use your Alignable to grow your LinkedIn and so on. And so to answer your question direct, 95% of my business comes from Alignable. And again, that's by design. I set this all up. I built out the profile very well. I got a ton of reviews. All of this was purposely done. So when people arrived on my profile, they get the warm and fuzzy. They get the, oh my gosh, this guy's amazing. It's by design.
yeah,
And I do that for my
okay,
clients too, right? Reputation management, that's part of marketing,
yeah,
right? Making people look good, right? Reviews are huge for online and SEO. And, so I don't mean to overwhelm you, but all of this is connected. All
yeah,
of these things we're discussing, it's all connected. If you crack the code and get it right, you can really launch a great business for next to nothing,
Yeah,
so anyway,
a lot.
stop me, John, because I'll keep talking if you don't.
Marketing does do a lot. Um, let's bring my other guest in and see what he does. Nathan, come on in here, buddy.
All right, John, how you doing, my friend?
Not too bad. Good, good. Good to bring you in more. On screen.
Technical difficulties. There we go.
Oh,
Hey,
there we go.
Nathan, nice to meet you.
I did it. Hey, I did it myself.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Steve.
Thank you.
So, Nathan, let's let people know where you are from and how you got to do what you're doing.
So I was originally born in Fairfax, Virginia, but shortly after my parents were born, my parents were from the West Coast. They moved from California to Fairfax, Virginia. Then a few minutes after they moved there, they had me. And then after they had me, a few months later, they moved to Fort Washington, Maryland. So that's where I'm from. I've been living in the DMV for pretty much 99% of my entire life. Love it here. Love being, close to like, DC, Alexandria. And, so what I do is I'm a financial professional. So what I do is I educate people on financial literacy and how they can achieve financial freedom, where it's via, all different types of, financial strategies, where it's via life insurance, retirement plans, financial head start plans for their kids. Some of the services that I do provide in terms of helping people is helping people with their estate planning, their long-term care, which is, obviously a very important one because, for anyone who hasn't been, paying attention, long-term care is incredibly expensive here in the United States. The average cost for a nursing home is about $100,000 a year, and it's only going to get more increasingly expensive over time, even at the lowest rate of inflation. I had the mispleasure of just out of curiosity, just looking up what would long-term care be for myself, 30 years from now. It would be about $500,000 in the state of Maryland just for 1 year. So I'm
Wow.
like, oh boy, oh boy. So yeah, definitely gotta, want to be, well, still want to be, nice and healthy at the age of 65, but we'll see, things happen. But I got into this business because, I saw the value because of, if you look at, today's economy per se and how much uncertainty there is, especially within the next 5, 10, 15 plus years, we don't know what's going to happen. But the way I look at it is, I would rather advise and educate people on protection plans that you can have in place in case something does happen. Like, let's say if taxes rise, which is a possibility, if healthcare costs increase even more, if cost of living increase even more, it seems like every other year college tuition just keeps going up a couple $1,000s every year. So,
Yeah.
the cost of everything is going like this, but the cost of, pay is moving very slowly. And it you're not going to keep up. You're not going to keep up with all the other things that are able to, compete with those things. So we use these financial strategies so they can at least have an edge to at least compete with the cost of everything else, whether it is cost of living, college education, healthcare costs, long-term care, handling your estate. People don't realize that because of laws in the United States, you can't leave behind large sum of money to your children because there are certain state laws where they're under the age of 18 or 21. So that's why you have to make a trust for your children. Because if you don't, it's going to be tied into probate. And now you got to pay for lawyers' fees. Now you got to pay for court fees. So now you got to spend all this extra money just so you can have access to your own money. So, yeah, because
Yeah.
financial literacy, it's not something that we're taught in, grade school to, not even college. Even if you go to business school, we're taught to, balance the checkbook, get a job, start a business, save your money. But we're not actually taught how to make money actually work for you. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a
That's
little just some of the things that I do.
yeah, that's something big that schools are actually starting to look into now about educating students about money. Um, some of the schools around here have actually put bank branches in place in the school for the students to set up accounts. And they actually
Hmm.
have students working in those locations to teach them
Good.
how money operates and everything, which is really
Hmm.
interesting. Um, but they need to, they're starting to come in with programs to teach kids about finances and everything. Uh, it's been a long time overdue,
Yes, it
es-
has.
especially if they're coming to the business world. If they don't have a
Hmm.
clue about finances in the business world, they're not going to make it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Certainly never, they're never going to start a business. That's
yeah,
way out.
that's,
Nathan,
yeah.
can we ask, who's your ideal client? Who's the kind of person you're working with?
So the kind of people I like working with are in terms of just a perfect client for me, young family,
Yes.
maybe somebody that just East recently just bought a home, their family's starting to grow, they just had a baby, they need more space. And the second client that I prefer is somebody who what I call the retirement red zone. I'm a big sports analogy. What I call the retirement red zone is 5 years before retirement and 5 years after retirement. And the reason
Sure.
why I kind of gauge that particular age gap is because, when you have somebody that's been working for 20, 30, 40 years and they invest in, these retirement accounts per se, but if you have, let's say, like a 401k, for example, the more you actually put into these accounts, the more Uncle Sam is going to tax these accounts. So you may have $1 million in your 401k,
Yeah.
but if you're in a high tech state like California, New York, New Jersey, those taxes can be anywhere from 40 to 60%. And I haven't mentioned the fees. I haven't mentioned advisor fees, transaction costs, expense ratio. And I haven't even mentioned the 10% withdrawal penalty, which basically if you try to take this money out before age 60, it's going to take out an additional 10% of your money.
Oh, I remember. I remember. So you help them basically with the management of their, so, but there's no physical restriction. You can help somebody in Canada, all over US, right? It doesn't matter because of virtual.
Yeah. Yeah, so particularly us for the Berkeley Group, we particularly have clients that are just specifically within the United States. And
Yes.
what we do in terms of the retirement plan aspect is we do what's called a rollover. So let's just say you have $500,000 in your 401k. Typically, an indirect rollover works is that you take the money out of your 401k and you put it into another retirement account. But the
Yes.
downside to that is if you take out that money and if you don't put it into an IRA within 60 days, they're going to give you another 10% penalty if you don't
Yes.
do it within that time frame.
Yes.
So what we do what's called a direct rollover. So we take partial amounts of funds from your 401k and we literally roll it over into another financial institution so we can one avoid the taxes. And so we put it into what's called an annuity, which is a savings account with a life insurance company, where your
Yes.
money is protected, you still have access to it, usually 5 to 10% per year, depending on the contract. Usually the
Mhm.
contract lasts about 3, 5, 7, sometimes even 10 years. And then within that
Right.
time frame, your money is going to grow over time. And then at the end of your contract year, you can use that money that's in that same savings account and supplement retirement income for the rest of your life. Even after you start taking money out, your money's still going to be growing over time.
Sure.
Because you're retired, you're not working anymore. So you have to figure out another way to supplement income so you can be able to take care of yourself. Or
And
or
not have
maybe
to
you want to.
and not have to keep working. Is that what you're saying?
Right, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, no, because at the end of the day, think of it like this. You have a 401k, you're age 65, you're just retired. Because people are living longer now, as you retire, the cost of everything goes up. So
Mhm.
now you have to make this large sum of money last you 10, 15, 20, 25 plus years. And in this economy, it's almost impossible. There's no way you can
Yeah.
make that money last over an extended period of time. So this is a way that we show people how you could potentially retire the way you want to retire. Because
Yes.
at the end of the day, retirement is supposed to be the final stage of your life.
And it's
Maybe you
supposed
want
to
to
be
travel the world.
and it's supposed to be with dignity. Can I ask you, are you
Yes,
meeting
yes,
on,
exactly.
are you meeting on Alignable? Is that how we all met?
Yes.
So on
Yes.
Alignable,
I'm alive.
just a quick observation. I mean, you seem like you're a natural for Alignable because there's 10 million members. A lot of them need an exit strategy when when their business is, what do you call it? Sunlighting?
Yeah.
No, sundowning.
Hmm.
When you're kind of, you're kind of looking to sell or pass it on, or is that what
Yeah,
you do?
business
Would you help
succession
somebody?
is what we call it.
Yep. So you would help somebody kind of get out of their business, maybe, kind of, maybe you're not going to business, maybe you're not acting as a business broker, helping them get the best price, but you're doing those things to help them from a fiduciary standpoint, set themselves up,
Yes,
right?
exactly,
To
exactly.
get that best price.
Yeah, yeah,
Cool.
exactly. Because one of the things that at least business owners, quote unquote, just can sometimes have a hard time comprehending is that let's just say, you're a business owner, you have a spouse, and obviously you're not going to have this business forever, right? But then you think to yourself, it's like, oh well, if something happens to me, my wife can take care of the business. I just get to myself, hold on, you sure about that? It's one thing to say it, but it's a totally different ball game to actually do it. Just
Yeah.
having somebody, run a business who literally has no experience with it whatsoever, and you're
Right.
just going to just asking to
Just
operate that
thrust
at the
them in
drop of
there.
a
Yeah.
hat.
And
That's
maybe they
that's
have their own plans, right?
right,
They have
right,
their own degree
exactly.
of
Yeah.
So
freedom, right? So, I would think that somebody like yourself would do really good at Alignable. I am curious. Word of mouth, how's your marketing? You get a lot of action from word of mouth because you do good things.
yeah, I do. And the thing about it is that I just started Alignable, I would want to say mid-January. So I haven't been on the platform for
Wow.
very long. And
Yeah.
so I just I talked to a lot of people, and
Yes.
despite the short amount of time that I've been on here, and I've obviously met a lot of great people from different
Yes.
backgrounds, different professions, from CPAs, real estate accountants, bookkeepers, all these different people, and I essentially use these professionals as my referral sources essentially. And the
100%.
great thing of and even in the short amount of time that I've been on Audible so far,
You see it.
I literally just need one more recommendation to become highly recommended, and I haven't
Yes.
even been on the platform for even 2 months yet.
Yes. You're right now,
So
you're a baby. You're a baby. You're a rookie on the platform, and you're tearing it up. You're doing great.
Yeah.
Right? Now,
right.
now, imagine this, fast forward, imagine a year from now, and you've gotten 50 reviews, recommendations from great
Hmm.
people you've worked with. So I come along, your profile, I'm reading it, and I'm like, holy macaroni, look at that. Look at what that guy said. Look at what that guy said. And I'm in the market for your services. I'm done. Stick a fork in me. I'm going to be calling you. Right. So think about going forward. What do people want to see? They want to see images. They maybe want to see a free consultation. If you set all that up now, your ride's going to be much better,
and
right?
and and,
So,
and since you mentioned the free consultation, here's the great part about it. I never
yep,
charge for my services.
yes,
Everything's complimentary. Whether it's a consultation, we just want information. I
yes,
don't do referral fees as well. Literally, you
yes,
do not have to pay a dime to send an appointment with me, to have a
perfect.
conversation with me. You don't even have to necessarily get a policy or plan for your person. If you
So
just
you've
want
made it
just
easy for
information
people,
and it,
right? You've
yes.
made it easy for people to do business with you, right? So why put up roadblocks? Why do people, you know,
Yeah.
hide your phone number, hide your email, right? All these are things that people do, right? Hide your social media profile. Why? Make everything available to people so they can check out your Facebook, your LinkedIn, they could watch a
Hmm.
video, right? So that's what people maybe get wrong. That's common throughout. Things that are easy to set up, they don't set up, right? So I'm
Right.
sorry. I don't mean
Yeah.
to preach. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're fine. You're fine. At the end of the day, the more people know what you do, the better.
Yeah.
Yes.
There may be people that might need somebody like you, but if you're not willing to, quote unquote, put yourself out there per se, they're not going to find you.
Yes.
It's just like in sports. If you're good at what you do, the coaches are going to find you. The eye in the sky
Yeah.
doesn't lie.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your
Whether
wonderfulness is
you're
going to shine through, you know. When
right,
when
right,
you're
whether
good
you're
and yeah, when you take care of people, when you're good, when you're transparent, and when you know when you make it known, but not because you crow, but because other people crow about you. You know, third
mhm.
party endorsement, when other people are saying, "Oh my gosh, Nathan, you got to call Nathan. He's great. I know you're looking for, you know, you're in the, you know, you're looking online for a new, just call my guy Nathan." You know, so those endorsements from other people, that's gold,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah,
I don't know where I was going
absolutely.
with that, but reviews are amazing.
Well, it's all right. Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And one thing that I tell people whenever I meet with them from like a referral source per se, I do not want to make people feel obligated about doing something they are not comfortable with. I
Yes,
try to make it as low pressure as I humanly possibly can. If you're confused, if this is something that you're not sure about, let's talk about it. If this isn't
yeah,
what you want, let's explore your options. And if I can't particularly help you, let's find somebody else who can help you. Because at the end of
yes,
the day, we
Yeah.
are in the business of helping people. And
100%.
but some people actually say that, but how many people actually do that is the
Sure.
question.
Walking the talk,
Because you
right?
Yeah.
right, right.
Right.
You talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. But some people just talk it, but they don't actually walk it.
See right here, see behind me, my background, it's cut off. It says free SEO analysis of your website right there over Zoom by appointment right here. You may not be able to see it. There is the coupon
I
right
see
here.
it. Yep, yep, yep. You're good. I see it.
Anyway, one thing that I do is I tell people right up front, and you might like this line. I say, listen, just meet me. Just put your checkbook away. Put your money away. Just meet me over Zoom. Let's talk. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, you know, talk about marketing or talk about your web or whatever you want to talk about, but put your money away. Let's just have an old fashioned conversation, talk about what's going on. And when I do that with people, when I let people know, no pressure, listen, let's just meet. Don't worry about it. I know the landscape so well that no matter what direction you go, I'll be able to help you. Right. So all I'm saying is I take the pressure away from people by letting them know, put your money away. Let's just have a chat. Meet over Zoom, right? And no commitment. If it's not a good match, if it is a good match, people are going to beat a path to your door. They're going to be like, Nathan, man, I've heard about you. I got to work with you. I heard great
Right.
things. Price, I don't really care
And
about the price. I heard great things,
right.
right?
And
Yeah.
coincidentally, I was literally just talking to my girlfriend about this just yesterday. One thing that isn't talked about enough is fit. If it's not a right fit, you can't force a right fit. If it
Yes,
either is or it isn't. You
yes.
can't put a square peg into a circle peg. If it's not gonna work, it's not gonna work. You know,
Unless,
you know, think
unless,
Yeah.
unless you're looking for bad reviews,
that
right?
too, or
If
unless
you're
you're looking for
hunting for
bad
bad
business.
reviews, right? You mess with somebody and you give them a service they don't need, they're gonna bad review you, right? And you just
Hmm.
don't need that. So in small bit in the world of small business, there's really no need to play games because boy, does that
No, there
catch up
isn't.
with you fast,
Hmm.
right? It catches up with you really fast.
Yeah.
Hey, a really simple concept that a lot of people who work in business have somewhat of a difficulty understanding is that if people don't like you, they're not going to want to do business with you.
Yes,
Right.
so true.
Relate,
Yeah.
I call it the three R's: relationship, rapport, and responsibility.
Yes,
Build a relationship with this person, have a rapport with this person, and have the responsibility to continue communicating and following up with this person. You may have to keep following up with this person 5, 6, 7 times before they might even have a proposition for you. That's just how it is sometimes. People
yes.
get discouraged so easily about a second or third follow up. I'm like, second or third follow up, that's still you haven't even gotten to first base yet.
Do you
like,
remember?
Yeah.
after
Do you remember there was an old statistic? Most projects are put together after somebody has said no 5 times.
Yes.
Most sales are made after a whole bunch of no's. No, I don't think that's a good thing for me. No, the price ain't right. No, 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 no. So you have to hang in there, and I'm going to use the word slug away. I don't mean it like to beat people up. I mean you have to hang in there. And if they object to something, you have to say, well, wait, I'll do that for free. That's no big deal. Let's not let that little thing stop us from working on the big picture, right? So what I mean by that is a month from now, you need a little change in your marketing. I'll do that for you for free. Don't let that little change we have to do a month from now stop us from putting together this great campaign now, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You're right, Nathan. Most people don't know how to look at somebody, and if there's not a good fit, two personalities that don't kind of mesh, right? That sale's never going to happen,
Right.
right? You
Right.
guys just don't
Exactly.
gel. The guy doesn't like you, right? Whatever it is that,
Yeah.
whether it's personality or, and it happens, right? Round
Right.
peg,
Right.
square
Yeah.
hole. That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
That's like the
The
marketing
way I
that
kind of
that I okay.
I'm sorry, John. The way I kind of break it down, it's literally just like dating. If
Oh
date
my
who
God,
likes you,
right?
date
It's
who
really
likes you,
true, right?
because at the end of the day, yeah, she might be a 10, but the 10s don't like you. It's okay. Not everybody's gonna like you.
Yes, and
Date the
that's
6 and 7
okay,
that likes you.
right?
Who cares if she's 6 and 7? If she likes you, she likes you. Now,
You
granted,
know,
there are some exceptions to the rule, obviously,
sure.
but if they don't like you, why do you want to be with somebody who doesn't like you? It
Why
doesn't
would you want to
make
work with
sense.
somebody? Why would you want to work with somebody who every time you call them or work with them, you get like, you just not a good, it's not a good feeling, right? So
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
for sure.
awful, right? So, um, the good news when you're talking to somebody and you're presenting and you're talking about your service or product, they usually let you know, hey, Nathan, elbow, you're doing a great job. Hey, Nathan, I could see I don't need the one in red. I think, Nathan, I want the one in blue. They give you signals, right? So at
Hmm.
the end of your conversation, when you go, hey, you think you may want to work together, it doesn't feel like odd. It's not like it's cold because they've given you signals like, "Atta boy, you're doing great." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Right. So I'm great at recognizing those signals or asking people along the way, "Hey, how we doing?" Right? Because if this ain't a good fit, let's stop. I don't, I'm not here to beat you up and make. I want to make business comfortable and smooth and easy. You know,
Right.
that's
Right.
That's what keeps me up at
Yeah.
night a lot. I work really long hours to make sure the client's experience is awesome. That's what it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
when somebody asks, "Hey, how is it working with Joe?" They can turn and go, "Oh my gosh, that was amazing," and the reviews bear out. You read them like, "This guy did this, he did that." It makes that warm and fuzzy. If you don't get that, go to the next guy,
Right.
right? So
You
Yeah.
know,
so important.
there's an old saying, nobody's ever gonna remember something that they bought from you or the services you provided, but they will remember how you treated them.
Yes,
They'll never forget that.
yes.
They'll never forget that.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. So
Yeah.
don't we bend over backwards to be nice to people and to really present things clearly and no games. So in my profession, web guys or other, they have some of them have a bad rap, a bad persona. So I have to overcome that where, for example, I'm not giving you a website until you pay me and you keep paying me. I don't play that game. You know how web
Mhm.
people hold the website hostage sometimes? Right?
Yep.
Or hosting, or I don't play that game, right? So that's what separates when you don't play those games and people know it and you're a stand-up guy, that's what counts. So
Right.
I'm just saying I
Exactly.
try to be that stand-up guy. I work really hard to be that stand-up guy, and it's grueling, to be extra nice to people. And then sometimes they're not nice and you got to grit your teeth and bite your tongue. And you do it anyway, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
Exactly. For sure. For sure.
all
That's
about the
like
client.
the marketing I do. I like working with small businesses because to me,
Yes,
they're the ones that need the help the most. And
yes,
Yes,
a
they
lot of
do.
them can't, a lot of them don't have that big of an advertising budget. So what I do is I work with whatever budget they have available.
yes,
Hmm.
If it means I can only help them with one part at a time, I'll
sure.
look at their business, see what they're doing, what they're not doing, and take it from there. We help
Pick the
with
most
one
important
part, then we
thing.
go on to the next.
Right. Can I ask you
Yeah,
to
for
explain
sure.
what you do? You're Mill City Marketing MA, but I don't actually know what services you provide. Could you take a minute and explain?
Yeah, I basically do ads on social media platforms. I was corrected the other day. I said, oh, and I was corrected. Most social media platforms.
Okay,
And I do 30-second video commercials on live stream TV, like Disney
awesome.
Plus, Hulu, and Paramount. And now I can even do radio ads across the country with Hi
I
Hat
remember.
Radio.
I remember you said that. Um, what was the beginning thing you said? You work with small businesses, you
Yeah,
do social media marketing. Now you called it ads across different social sites,
yeah.
social media marketing, right? Are you a videographer or you
I have
somehow use
access
the
to it.
software? You're able to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Cool.
I'm able to do it. And that's why I changed the name of my website. It used to be Mill City Marketing MA, but that
Yes.
was kind of like defined. I've changed it to Mill City Business Help because with the connections I have on Alignable, if
Yes.
they need help with something else or I'm not sure, I
It
guarantee I
doesn't
got people to connect
pigeonhole,
them to.
right? It doesn't pigeonhole you into I'm just doing one thing. It's
Yeah,
business, basically business services, right? So
yeah,
I can help you with, getting a hold of Nathan because Nathan supplies these services or marketing. Um, can I ask, or can I
yeah,
just say this? You and I are actually a great strategic partner in the work, in the making, because you do stuff I don't do. I don't deploy marketing on iHeartRadio. So if somebody said, "Hey, Steve, I want to do some radio deployment," I would have to say, "Sorry, can't help you." Nathan, put your money away. Sorry, can't help you, dude. But if you and I were strategically partnered, I could say, "Well, wait a minute. Of course, I can help you with that." And then I just call John. Hey, John, I got a client. Can we partner on this project? I'm going to be handling this part for him. You can handle this part, right? So no,
yeah,
no need to turn that job down.
yeah.
That's
And
how I
the
use
thing I should
Alignable, by the
mention,
way.
and the thing that I should mention too is to put an ad on Facebook now is getting close to $1.75 per click. I can tell you, put a 30-second video commercial on Disney
Yes,
Plus, you would
yes,
think is more. I figured it out with what they told me. I didn't believe them, so I figured it out myself.
yes,
The minimum that they have is $500 a month. They have higher packages. I set up an account for $500 a month. It said I would have over 10,000, close to 12,000 views for that $500.
yes.
And when I figured it out, they came out to close to 25 cents.
Per impression.
Where were people more? Where's more people now? On
Yes.
Facebook or on
No,
live
I agree
stream?
with you. I agree with what you're doing 100%. And here's the good news. You could set that up on a hyper local basis. The guy's a dry clean, a beauty salon, car wash.
Yeah,
You could set that campaign up in a geography standpoint,
yeah,
geo-targeted right for that guy's, because that dry cleaner doesn't care about anything outside the 5 mile radius for the most part. All of his business is neighborhood. If you're not marketing for him in the neighborhood, it's a waste of his money,
yeah,
right? So you can do that is the point.
yeah.
You can
You
really
do that
get
with
very
the live
granular.
stream.
Yes.
Yep.
So my point though is this, another point. it makes you and me great strategic partners because you and I were in the marketing, quote unquote, but you're doing specific stuff I don't do. So here's what happens. Some guy knocks on my door and says, listen, I need a website, but I also want some Disney Plus advertising. I would have to say, well, I do this, but not all of it. But now I could say, well, got you covered. And I just call up John and John and I work out the details.
Yeah.
So my point is this is how we use Alignable. Nathan, I know you're new to this, but so you're on Alignable and you meet with bookkeeper, accountant, this guy, that guy. These are services you don't offer direct. You're like, hey, so your clients, all your people, they may need me, meaning Nathan. So you partner with that guy because all of a sudden all of his clients now know you, and you could easily pick up an account all day long.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, that's how I use Alignable. People that need help right away, and then people like John that are a perfect strategic partner. Perfect. Because we don't hurt each other. He does stuff, I do stuff. Project comes along, and we don't have to say no. We can collaborate.
And
So,
another thing too is me doing this podcast was not in my plans. I was helping a client down in North Carolina starting up a nonprofit, and she was already doing a podcast with Kurt, and I was helping on the podcast with her and a few other people from Alignable that was working with her.
yes.
And at one point, she went in a different route. In 3 weeks, she didn't come in for the podcast.
Wow.
I was on it and a couple of other people. So the third week, Kurt here, he loves when I tell the story. Kurt goes to me, goes, John, have you ever thought of doing a podcast? I said, well, no, I've been thinking about it. Why? He goes, good. You want to start now? My first podcast was 10 minutes after he asked me that. That was a year and a half ago.
Awesome.
So,
It was meant to be, John.
Nathan, just
It was
keep in
meant.
mind,
Absolutely.
you never know where a connection is going to lead you.
Yes.
Yeah,
You never
absolutely.
know. You never
Absolutely.
know. And this is why you be kind to everybody. This is why you connect with everybody. And if you can't help them now,
Yeah.
so what? Give them some help, and maybe they'll circle back or you'll circle back. But it's
Right.
that thing where if you help everybody, win-win, it's gonna come back to you.
Hmm.
That's my
Yeah, it is.
philosophy.
Absolutely.
Just help everybody, man. And it's not hard to find people to help, right, Nathan?
No,
There's
it's
a lot
not.
of
It really
there's a lot of
isn't.
hurt. Yeah, there's a lot going on out there. So that's kind of my mission to help people,
All right.
and I know, and I've been living by this for decades. I know if I help that person, I may not get compensation back from that person, but somewhere in the universe it's coming back. Right. So that's kind of how I live.
All right.
Just help
Yeah.
people,
And
man.
I
This
kind of
is the
have a little
point.
bit of a different no, I'm sorry, John. I kind of
Right.
have kind of a similar take on that in terms of like not to be sort of religious or anything, but the way I kind of look at it is you never know where you could be an answer to somebody's prayer, whether it can
Yes.
be guidance, support,
Yeah.
offering a helping hand, showing them, where something is. You never know. You
Right.
never know.
And it could be something really easy. They're overwhelmed by something really easy. And for you, it's nothing. It's nothing.
Right.
So speaking for us, that happens to us a lot because it's web stuff and people don't necessarily know. For us, it may be
Hmm.
a couple clicks and it's done. For them, they're watching YouTube videos, they're stressing out, they get it wrong, so the website crashes, it breaks. It's so easy to help people from where they are. I love that. It gives me a lot of joy to just help people where they are, It fuels
This
me.
this is the point now where I bring in my co-host. It might be Kurt's
Oh,
network, but I call him my co-host. Come on in here, Kurt. I know you got some
Uh,
questions for these guys.
yeah, well, I'm just gonna open the door for a little storytelling here. John, since you enjoyed telling a little story that reveals my capacity to instigate, Nathan has had that experience too. Nathan, heard me instigate him to maybe come to a group called Helpopedia. And so, Nathan, you want to tell the story and then share why do you keep coming back to meetings with Helpopedia?
Because I've always had a special place in my heart for the disabled community because my brother, who's 5 years younger than me, he's also disabled. And he has autism, he's legally blind, and he's arthritic. And, growing, and it's very weird because when he was first born, he was basically in and out of the hospital for the first 5 years of his life. So during the majority of, most of my childhood from about age 5 to about age 10, I spent most of my time with my grandmother. And at the time, it was Christmas, I believe it was Christmas of 95. My brother is the reason I got into gaming and how I got into mathematics in the first place, which is what I eventually graduated from. So I needed some time to occupy my time. So my grandmother got me my first gaming console, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. I played like, Mario Brothers, Mario Kart, Donkey Kong, the whole 9 yards, right? And even still to this day, I still game, not as often as I used to, but I still game. And then in third grade, my third grade math teacher at the time, her name was Miss Robinson. She was a former Navy, no, I'll take it back. She was a former Marine. She was a Marine veteran, was in Marines for 15, 20 plus years. And she didn't play. She did not play. But she saw the potential of me and she wrote me. So, there was these old composition books when I was growing up. They had the times tables at the back of them. Every single day I studied
Yeah.
those times tables for like a good 5, 6 years. So, I'm very fortunate for the brother to be such a blessing in disguise for me in my life, but I'm also happy to have, him as well. He is the most positively optimistic person you'll ever be in your life. Like he cannot have a bad day. He cannot. He won't forget your kids' names. He won't forget your birthday. He won't forget where you were born. His memory recall, like you can ask him, you could have met him 15 years ago. And he was like, oh yeah, remember your birthday's January 8th. You got two kids. And you're just like, how did he remember that? I only met him one time.
Some
There
people
you
have
go.
a photographic memory.
Yeah.
I just call it, I, the way I look at it, God gave him cameras for eyes.
Yes, yes.
That's how I look at it.
But some people have that talent, the ability to recall like that. So on some
Mhm.
level, I have that too, a photographic memory. Like I remember my phone number as a kid. This is 55 years ago. So stuff like that, or my license number. I could rattle off my license number. It's 16 digits, right? So some people can do that. It's a great asset when you need to remember your clients' names and what's going on, right? It's a great
Right.
skill. But I'm curious, Kurt, can I ask what you do?
I do podcasting. But to give you a little bit more of a background, Steve, yeah, I am going, like when I go to alignable meetings and I do the Smart Connects, I'm inviting people to do like what John took me up on to help people co-create a podcast with me. And then in the meantime, we have John and we have other podcasters here to, come on his show and do all this. So I really enjoyed helping entrepreneurs, home business people, so forth. Kind of expand what they're doing, like John talked about, like with the social media advertising. I think everybody's got a different idea about how to harness what we have there, and like even platforms like Alignable, like you're showing there that you coach how to thrive on a platform like Alignable. So that's the capacity I like to come into on other platforms. I talk about like right now we're out on YouTube Live, and then we can translate that out there to a LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, X Spaces. So I do that a little bit of the build the camaraderie. So like when I met John, like he was saying, he met me through my capacity helping Sherry from Let's Be Trees, that type of
I
thing.
know
And then
Sherry.
You know Sherry? All
I
right,
know
yeah,
Sherry. Yes.
very good. Yeah. So on the other side of it, Steve, my alter ego is out there in community organizing, doing ministries, looking at the field of education, like being with the Great Discovery, the world's largest learning platform, and helping businesses look at their role and impact, and business people. So the pain point, from my perception of trends that I serve under my own analysis and assessment is that there's corporate social responsibility, which is out there in the ginormous way because ginormous corporations are doing it, like Walmart and so forth. And even Walt Disney, helped their country celebrate the Americans with Disabilities Act and so on and so forth. But, what about all the people coming into Alignable? How much is alignable flourishing corporate responsibility? It's not their role, so it's not a criticism or anything, but that's where I come in. I come in to be the private side of social work and to look at these, service gaps, that our governments report. And I come up with collective impact ways to bring all the parties together, which is very effective for our friends at Alignable because our friends at Alignable aren't thinking about how the faith communities are where they can help flourish to get more context and to help to grow the platform itself, Alignable, and how all the nonprofits are a great fit for Alignable and all the business we're doing at Alignable. Nonprofits are the forgotten, sought after contact, and then like schools, like my wife works at Carroll University, all the roles that colleges and the K-12 system when we're with Helpopedia with Helpopedia, like we're talking about with Nathan, that's where we're going. That's where we're flourishing our success. And so I'm America's chair for the Impactful Veterans Network with Spear the Game Foundation. I'm an ambassador with Project Die Hard. I'm a builder of excellence with Optimus International, working board member of Mutual Aid Networks, Humans United and Mutual Aid Networks, and on and on like that. So I'm a
Yes.
revolutionary. I'm here to cause that
Well,
marketplace disruption and make it all more humanitarian, Steve.
thank you for sharing that with us because I had no idea, of course. We had never met before.
Right.
You're on Alignable. I'll make sure we connect.
Okay. Yep. I am
Yes.
unalienable.
And
Absolutely.
Nathan, same as you, I'll make sure we connect.
All
I
right.
connect with
Looking forward
everybody.
to it, Steve.
This is a connection sport, right? You gotta, you can't
Yeah.
just meet people. We're gonna connect. And you know what? I love what you do. I'm gonna take it offline. Let's do a one-to-one. If we're not doing that, I don't mean you guys. I mean, if we're not doing that with people in general, my weeks
Hmm.
are so full with meeting people just like that. Man, it's great. Alignable, alignable, alignable. I wish I had stock. I wish they paid me. I'm not a paid spokesperson. I'm a paying stiff just like the rest of you guys, right? But it's been a great ride. So for the first 2 years, I used it free, by the way. Anyway, my
Very good.
stats.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, if you guys have to go with any connection in a minute, don't be bashful to keep your connections. But John, over to you. You got a minute to win it to wrap up your show. Take it away, sir.
Hey, Steve, how can people find you and get a hold of you?
Thank you. So see behind me, locatemeonline.com. So I'm the founder of a company, Better Business Web. Our web address is locatemeonline.com. We celebrate 4 years in business this past November, and I celebrate 40 years this year. This October will be my 41st year. Thank you very much, by the way, for having me on. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yes, wonderful.
Nathan, how can people get a hold of you?
So people can get a hold of me via social media. You can just Google Nathan Jones, the broker group. I'm on LinkedIn. I have my business card dot profile, Instagram, Facebook. I'm all over social media. I'm on Threads. So you name it, I'm on it. Just search Nathan Jones Broker Group, and I'm not hard to find.
Okay. Good. Why don't we give you time for your info?
All right, folks can call and text me on my Google Voice line, 262-372-1754, and send those emails off to me, Kurt, K-U-R-T, at spiritofthegame.org. And you can also go on my digital business card, kurt.now.site.
And anybody wants to get a hold of me, you can email me at millcitymarketingma@gmail.com. Find me on Alignable. Find any of us on Alignable. And if you're interested in watching other podcasts that I've done, simply go to YouTube and type in Mill City Marketing MA. All my podcasts will come up, especially the one from 3 weeks ago. If you've ever heard of anybody having a near-death experience, this gentleman has an experience you want to hear on the other side of the light. It is an experience you want to listen to. It amazes me every time I play back myself. And stay tuned, because next week I have a couple special guests coming up, and I am working on a very special guest for the future. A very famous celebrity. So, does it for me, Kurt. And Nathan, Steve, thank you for coming. It's been a pleasure.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for
everybody.
having
Have a
us.
great rest of your week.
All right. Have a great week, everyone. Enjoy the weekend.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. Take care, guys.
Yep, will do. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Nathan.
You bet. Bye, guys.